coming up on this week's edition of the Stony Brook News.
See how one Stony Brook alumnus plans to eliminate tuberculosis.
A look at how cheese and beer can bring different heritages together.
See how the presidential candidates fared in their final debate. All that and more on this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. Welcome to this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. I'm Francesca Campione.
And I'm Shamika Lywood. The Department of Homeland Security is currently looking into who was responsible for hacking the internet on Friday. Some of our favorite websites were inaccessible across the United States. Sites like Twitter, Netflix, Amazon, and Spotify were just a few of the places affected. The hackers attacked the company DIN, whose servers monitor and reroute internet traffic. The company experienced 2 waves of attacks in one day.
For a while, it seemed like last Wednesday's final presidential debate was anything but normal as Donald Trump performed as well as he has all fall. But when Hillary Clinton went on the attack, Andrew Eichenholz reports that one gaffe may have ruined Trump's night.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump saved his best debate for last Wednesday night, but observers from every party found that he committed political suicide by not guaranteeing that he'll support the election's result.
I want to ask you here on this stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time.
A lot of Republicans are complaining about that this morning, and even his Pence has said, of course we're going to accept the results of the election.
Since then, the man from Queens rigged up a modification. Even though he likes to say that the election is rigged, he said he'll accept the results if he is the winner.
There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks.
Perhaps the low point of this election has been Trump's treatment of women. An old Access Hollywood tape leak caught his vulgar boast, and many women have since come forward accusing Trump of sexual harassment.
I don't even do it. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Those stories are all totally false. I have to say that. And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything.
His numbers have dropped significantly since then. There have been a couple of times during the last few months where he was edging close to Clinton, but every time that happened, he would say something off message.
Even First Lady Michelle Obama has publicly condemned Trump's recent action.
For all of us to stand up and say enough is enough.
Donald Trump needs to take a women's studies course. I really mean that. He needs to understand what these concepts are, what it means, and how it affects women and men.
Now, Donald Trump probably isn't going to be stopping by Stony Brook's Women's Studies Department anytime soon. But the university has had a female president in Shirley Strom Kenny. Looks like the U.S. might have one pretty soon, too. For Stony Brook News, I'm Andrew Eichenholz.
One Stony Brook alumnus and current Johns Hopkins University fellow presented his plans for tuberculosis elimination. If he is successful, his plan could save millions of lives. Chris Lelam has more.
Dr. Kunjak Dorji is starting small but thinking big. Dorji has been working with a small part of India's vast population for years in the hopes of applying his TB fighting strategy to the globe.
So far, we have been on tuberculosis control. Now, the World Health Organization has gone from stop TB strategy to end TB strategy. So with the end TB strategy, by 2030 or 2035, we are going to reduce the TB deaths by 90%.
Tuberculosis is an infectious disease that usually affects the lungs. If left untreated, it kills half of those affected. Some cases are even drug-resistant.
Patients with drug-resistant TB, they need treatment for almost 18 to 24 months. With almost 6 or 9 months of injection, which is really painful. And most of the drugs that you need to use for drug-resistant TB, they are highly toxic.
Besides treatment, another part of Dorji's plan includes what he calls active case finding. Stony Brook pulmonary specialist Dr. Lucy Palmer explained one recent innovation in TB treatment that helps with finding new cases.
There is a rapid diagnosis that you can get with a molecular technique. And that can not only tell you that the patient has TB, but can tell you that it is tuberculosis. as opposed to a cousin, many cousins, I'll call them.
According to the World Health Organization, there were 2.2 million new cases of TB in India in 2015, compared to 2.2 million in 2014. But for Dorji, this isn't all bad news.
So actually it is a good sign, I would say, that there is an acknowledgement of the problem and there is a better data surveillance and we are able to notify the cases better.
Here at the Health Sciences Tower is where infectious diseases like TB are studied, but SBU's reach goes beyond Long Island. Earlier this month, Stony Brook created an online course in global health diplomacy, with nearly half of its students coming from Africa and Asia. For Stony Brook News, I'm Chris Leland.
Now, what I can't get over is how crazy the weather has been these last few weeks.
I know, right? One second I'm hot, the next I'm cold. Let's throw it over to our weatherman, Tiffany Wong, for this week's forecast. Tiffany?
Thanks, ladies. Right now, the academic mall is still a little bit damp from the rain that we had this past weekend, but it's clearing up very quickly with the sun. Right now, it's about 56 degrees, and it's very humid, about 80%. The wind is going northwest-north at 20 miles per hour. And for the rest of this week, it's pretty sunny. It stays that way, kind of chilly until Friday, where we have a chance of rain, but it should clear up before the weekend. Back to you, ladies.
If Stony Brook students are looking for a different place to get their eat on off campus, they don't need to look any further. Sarah Kirkup reports from the new Asian cuisine hotspot.
With just a short walk from Stony Brook campus, students looking for fresh Chinese food can now look no further than a new restaurant, China Station, which opened this September. The restaurant is now just one of 2 eateries in Stony Brook that offer handmade noodles that are made to order. The noodles go from the cutting board to the stove and then into mouths of hungry students.
I think Stony Brook is kind of becoming a place for Chinese noodles, handmade Chinese noodles, so I've been pretty excited to try out. There's another place that opened up in Stony Brook as well.
The co-owner of China Station chose this location because of the proximity to campus and to help fill a food gap for a cost-conscious community.
We really want to provide fresh, cheaper, reasonable, and taste good food and healthy as well. And we really help all the students and the customers and the residents come to my restaurant, enjoy real Northern-style Chinese food.
Stony Brook student Yujie Chen says that he comes into the restaurant daily. Today, he ordered a popular Chinese dish, Malai Tan, with some of China Station's homemade noodles.
The food here is good and cheaper than on-campus food, so I came here to eat and.
For Sheldon, it's not just about the business. It's about fair pricing and fresh food for the community. Forget frozen. From the potatoes that are cut to the cabbage and salads, China Station gets shipments daily.
Yes, we don't do like a big delivery. We buy just for the same day, and we buy the fresh vegetables, fresh potatoes, because I really want to serve this community, serve the students, let them eat good, than to have more energy focused on the study.
The inexpensive prices and fresh food has already made China Station a go-to food place for students. One of their most popular dishes are the pork buns for $1.25. The restaurant sells over 200 of these a day. Here at China Station, everything you get is under $10. Now that's something I'd like to bite into. For Stony Brook News, I'm Sarah Kirkup.
If noodles aren't your thing, a local cheese brewery may spark your interest. Our reporter, Renna Thomas, has a sharp scoop.
Cheesemonger Dave Striffler is making cheese lovers' dreams come true.
It's part bar, part cheese shop, part restaurant, part retail shop. I don't even know what to call it. It's brew cheese. I don't.
Striffler, a Stony Brook alum, began his career in cheese as a buyer at Whole Foods, then went on to earn his title as a certified cheese professional. He is only one of 2 cheesemongers in Suffolk County, and only about 600 cheese enthusiasts in the country have actually passed this certification exam. Brew cheese is a hit locally.
Like working here, I don't mind 14-hour days because I'm basically spending time with my friends,
It's a homey feel that draws customers in.
There's a certain energy, I think, that's generated from being in a place like that. And I think that's why that's how we measure success.
The Ward Melville Heritage Organization hosted representatives from China this past week, giving them the small-town American feel of the village, and integrated the village with Stony Brook's international population, making a stop at Brew Cheese.
We would love to have them experience the culture of the university, but their time is short. So we're so pleased to have Dr. Wang, who is Associate Dean of International Admissions here, to explain it to them because they can't get over there.
The village wishes to motivate Stony Brook University international students to visit more often.
This is so lovely to the university, to our students, especially international students, feel very much welcomed by the community.
Companies like Brands USA and iHeart New York came for the visit as well.
Love it, yeah. Especially the feeling give us like we are at home. And every boutique store look very beautiful and very unique.
What a way to get a taste of community is through all these unique cheeses.
They want to really take it to the limits and see what's out there and really taste literally, America, the experience and everything that it can offer.
From locals to visitors from around the globe, we can all agree on the love of cheese. As brew cheese cuts into the global market, you better believe they keep getting feta. For Stony Brook News, I'm Rena Thomas.
Now it's time to take a look at what's going on in the world of sports with our reporter Tiffany Lee. Tiffany?
Thanks, Shamika. On Sunday, Stony Brook alum Victor Ochi became the second Seawolf to suit up during the regular season for an NFL team when he registered a tackle in the New York Jets win over his former team, the Baltimore Ravens. On that same day, the women's soccer team had their 6-game winning streak snapped by Hartford, 1-0. Before the game, the Stony Brook News got a chance to sit down with one of the top players, Amy Thompson. Amy Thompson got into soccer when she was 5 years old. That was back home in Luxembourg. Now, she is one of the 2 foreign players on the Stony Brook women's soccer team.
Growing up, I heard people talking about the national team, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to play for my country. And then at the age of 14, I got called up to play for the national team, and ever since then, it's been an amazing experience traveling the world with them and playing in these competitions.
I'm 14 years old. I'm born on the 28th of July, and I play for the Luxembourg squad.
Her journey did not stop there. Playing in global competitions became her ticket out of Little Luxembourg.
After going to Germany, I was like, the next step for me is America. I wanted to play in a college, but I wasn't sure how to go about it, and I was lucky enough to have someone come up to me and ask me if I wanted to play.
However, being far away from home isn't easy, and the adjustment to going to school while playing soccer is tough.
Well, at first it was a bit difficult coming here, being far away from my friends, from my family, especially since I didn't get to play my first year. And I think it made it harder to connect with the team properly, but once spring came around and I was practicing with them and I was playing with them, I connected more with the players, and now it feels almost like a second home.
Thompson is not the only newbie on the team. This season, a new head coach with plenty of experience in helping international players arrive.
SB 1, 2, 3, SB!
Wherever I've been, I've tried to recruit internationally. I think they bring a passion for soccer that sometimes we maybe don't always get out of American players.
And players like Thompson, different styles, different approaches to the beautiful game is on display.
I think in Europe it's a lot more tactical, more technical, and in the United States there's a huge emphasis on the athleticism and physicality. Obviously, my physicality and my athleticism isn't the same as other players. I think my strengths lie elsewhere, and I think further up the field I'm able to show that a bit more, and I'm more dangerous up top than a bit further back.
As a team, the ladies work hard in getting better each day. To them, the support of their fellow Seawolves is the game ticket to their success. On Thursday, the team will be taking on Vermont at home in the first round of the American East Playoff. That's all the time we have for sports. Back to you, ladies.
Thanks, Tiffany. That's all the time we have for this week's edition of the Stony Brook News. I'm Francesca Campione.
And I'm Shamika Lywood. Have a great day, Seawolves.